So I want to get into the city hall election. So you guys did a huge, you guys endorsed candidates, um, basically to create a new city hall. Can you elaborate on, what brought you to that, made you guys want to get involved with the elections this year? Well, I know you guys are always involved, but it was great and it was huge this year, the participation in it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we, all the things that we've already been talking
Yeah.
about, the disparities that you see in the city of Fort Worth, all of the horrible policies, that have either been passed or policies that need to be passed that haven't,
Mm-hmm.
and just continuing to basically talk until you're blue in the face
Mm-hmm.
to people who are not listening, who aren't trying to hear you, who are not trying to make the changes that need to be made for our communities to feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
and to be, to prosper. So after, coming up against that so much, we started in 2019 actually getting into, electoral politics. So in 2019, we actually endorsed a candidate in District 6,
Mm-hmm.
Southwest Fort Worth, um, that we vetted, and we believe that this was a good person who would really promote and carry those values, that we need in our city. And District 6 is just so ripe for that type of change because it's such a diverse
Mm-hmm.
district, a growing district, a young district. And so that was kind of where we got our feet wet with that. And we had a lot of successes there in flipping certain precincts. We didn't win, the race, but we gained a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so this next cycle here in 2021, we decided that we were going to get involved again because, things still haven't changed, right?
Right.
And so you got to keep going. Even when you have those losses, you got to keep going. You got to keep pressing, and we did, and we came back even bigger this time.
You had some victories too.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We had some victories. So we ended up endorsing 5 candidates this time. Yeah,
Major.
yeah, very major. And that is not just because we decided to endorse 5 candidates, but it's because of all of the support. There are so many eyes right now that are on Texas, that are on Tarrant County, that are on Fort Worth. And so there's a lot of energy behind making change here because when this is a bellwether city, it's a bellwether county, and Texas is a bellwether state. And so when things change here, it's going to change everywhere. And so many people are recognizing that now finally. So we had a lot more support this time, so we were able to move in a lot of different areas. So yeah, I'll let Danielle take it from there.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like, um, it's all building, right? Every single election cycle, every single advocacy campaign, every single like fundraiser, every single everything, like we're building the capacity to do more every single
Yes.
time. Um, so this election cycle, it was building off of what we started off of the infrastructure of the learning. Elections aren't supposed to be for someone like me to get involved in. I mean, I had a felony at the age of 15. I was out of my parents' school. I was in and out. Like I wasn't supposed to learn this stuff. You know what I mean? I wasn't supposed to learn how to do campaigns, learn how to talk about policy, learn how to do all these things. Like we weren't supposed to be in these positions. But as soon as we started learning and
like
understanding,
glitch in the matrix.
there's no way that we can turn our backs anymore to injustice that's happening and people abusing those positions who are also black and brown, who are taking advantage of how the system has put them in those positions and are perpetuating the same stuff that the people who have been there have been doing for years. And the folks who got endorsed, they didn't get those endorsements for free. They had to sign on to a platform and pledge to support a list of issues. If you're not signing that, homeboy, homegirl, you're not getting this endorsement.
A bold progressive
progressive platform.
that some that we were intending to work with, they couldn't get with it. And so, everybody was asking us, well, why didn't you endorse this person? They're progressive, they're a Democrat, but they weren't at the core, and they could not commit to what our communities need.
There was a candidate who was timid to sign on to the platform because the platform that we had was intended to stop no-knock warrants.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, I don't know if I can do that. White voters are scared of this. Nah, fool, like that's it. We're not out here playing games. If you're not supporting this platform, we're not going to support you. And at the end of the day, we did get some victories, but the important intentional work comes now.
Yes.
Yo, you better follow up to this platform, and we're going to hold you accountable to everything that you promised. And while we've been learning on how to do elections, on how to create victories, because the candidates that won, they were outraised 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I always think about what Dr. Bell always says. I remember Dr. Bell telling me a long time ago, because I was trying to ask him, like, who's in power, like, how much power does Betsy press, all these different questions, and he was like, look, these elected officials are only the managers of the ones who really call the shots. And when you look at these campaign finance reports, and what essentially that is the donations of who supports these candidates financially, you'll see who they are. The developers, the basses, the people who hold like economic power in the city who, if they want something done, they're gonna get it because they're paying for access to decision making. They're just managers. So now, understanding that, like we need to take these seats back and put people who we, who have promised to follow this platform and then hold them fools accountable. Because at the end of the day, every time that we go to city council and we don't have people who are responsive to our needs, it's just talking to a brick wall.
That's amazing, because once you get involved, you actually see how the machine works.
Yeah.
And that brings me to another point. Pam, you made an interesting post on Facebook that got me thinking. You was talking about the runoff election.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a breakdown or maybe a short little brief history lesson what you meant on that post about how the runoff election is used against us?
Right. So, and don't get me on all the dates, but there was a time probably in the late 60s, early 70s when, this actually began in Georgia, runoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
The runoffs that we know today. So there was fear amongst, white folks in power that too many black people were gaining on them in those political arenas. And so they were seeking some kind of way to really lessen that and to stop them from gaining so many seats of power, especially in a place like Georgia, where there's a lot of people of color, right? And so one of the ways, there was this one politician, I don't remember his name, but he's the one who came up with this system of runoffs. And basically, what it does is it kind of dilutes the voting power for those candidates who might be winning, those candidates of color, right? Yeah. So if they win in a general election, that has a lot of candidates in it, right? And they get a slight edge out of all of those candidates. That's not the majority of the voters, right? Yeah. And so I think that's really the argument that they used to kind of shield what they were really doing, which was racist. That's really what it was. Keep the black folks out, keep the brown folks out, let's hold our power. But as demographics are changing, like they still are, they saw we got to do something. We have to throw a wrench in here. And that was the way that they did it. So now you get that slight majority. Okay, you won that election, but now we're going to go into a runoff, which is basically the top 2 vote getters, right, out of that first pool. Mm-hmm. Now they go head to head. And whoever gets the most out of that race wins. So you're basically having to run twice. I think on that post that I shared, there was a video of a black politician in Georgia who won his race outright. I believe he got like 35% or something, and he won with that percentage. But then he went into a runoff and lost to someone who didn't even get as many votes as him the first time around. And so these are the tactics that are being used to dilute the power, to try and take away the voice that is gaining and growing in communities of color. It's really a racist system that's really only happening in 7 states in the South, right?
Wow.
So
Every
only
state
seven,
doesn't do this.
so
Yeah,
only
wow.
7 states
Yeah.
only do runoffs.
That's right.
So, okay.
And that's what they're gonna do every time. They're gonna try to create.
Because we
systems.
just seen that happen here
Yeah.
in Fort Worth.
Yes.
We had Deborah Peoples
Mhm.
won the main election,
first place.
but she
did.
only had what, 49, 50
About 45.
33, I want to say it
percentage
was.
of the votes.
To Maddie's 31 or something like that.
Yeah. So basically, in this election, she won. So basically, all the conservative, they just said conservative white people that voted for the other
Mhm.
conservative white people in the runoff, they just gave those votes
They coalesced together
to
behind
her,
the
to
loser.
Maddie, the loser, Maddie Parker.
Yeah.
So that system is being in place in mostly southern states, probably.
And why is that important? Because in southern states, that's where voter suppression is the most egregious, right? And so it's hard enough to get people of color who have been suppressed and disenfranchised to come out to one election. Now you're asking them to come out again a month
A
later.
month later.
What? And then you're asking those candidates who represent them, who are seeking to represent them, to have the resources and the energy and
To do it
all
again.
that they need to do this again a month later. Like, that's intentional.
So
That
how
is
can we
intentional.
stop it? What can we do to get the runoffs out the book, or as a concession when it's a runoff, have it sooner?
Well, part of it is they really, first off, they undetermined Deborah Peoples and her movement.
Mhm.
And they undetermined what work that we were doing.
Mhm.
They had no idea that they were going to lose. They were so confident. When you looked at Maddie Parker's website, all of the establishment, all the power brokers, were in
All the
her endorsement.
billionaires.
Yeah.
All the
All
billionaires, you see all those names. When you looked at her campaign finance reports, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Deborah still won.
She spent like $2 million this
$2
year.
million.
She spent $2 million.
Racist attacks through mail every single day.
I got them every day.
Every single day, and Deborah still came in first place.
Mhm.
So they out of fear spent another $1 million just to win in that short, crazy time frame. But they undetermined the power that we had, and that's how we won those 2 city council seats. It was because of the mobilization that we did and the effort that we put in, that our people power beat their financial power
Yes.
that they had. Our people power won at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Our electoral work, we only talk to black and brown people.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
We talked to black and brown people. We talked about the issues. We had real conversations at the doors, and folks who never voted before, and they participated. They came out. They showed out, and we won.
Yeah.
So that's just one way I know that we can talk about how to end runoffs. But our people power won this time, and as we continue building, our people power will continue winning. Not only in elections, but also in discussions of policy, also in our autonomy and black and brown owned businesses, and so many different things. Our people power is going to win every time as long as we're organized.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best part of that, of what you said, is that it's the people power. Because when people see that, and I think definitely the community needs to be educated on what you guys did, because a lot of people don't think that we could work together and beat that higher that higher system, that system with all that money and this and that. But you guys made an example out of that. You organized with the people. They had millions, and you were still able to mobilize, even though no, Deborah Peoples did not win. A statement was made when she had the majority of votes the first time. That was a huge statement that was made. So I definitely glad that you said that people need to understand, if we come together, we can do anything.
Right.
And
we've been doing this.
Yeah.
We've been doing this, not United Fort Worth, but the people who came before us.
Mhm.
I mean, look at the civil rights movement. You know, look at the Chicanics movement.
Mhm.
We've been getting these wins when we come together.
Right.
The people power is greater. Organized people is so much greater than, these dollars out here backed with all the hate.
Mhm.
We can do it, and we've done it before, and we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and again, they're organizing. That's the thing, that they've been set up these systems, so they're gonna always try to maneuver ways to continue to hold on to that power. They're pissed. I know they're pissed.
Oh, they big
They're
mad. They big,
big mad
They
right
big
now.
mad.
But
Big
that's the
mad.
thing, like we can't get comfortable. We have to
Yeah,
continue
right.
building our own political.
They coming back
infrastructure.
strong. They gonna come
Oh,
back
yeah.
harder, stronger, and come in with probably with a vicious attack. They coming back. So we can't get comfortable now.
Yeah.
Like I always tell Jessica, like I'm so scared right now because I feel like the people are about to get comfortable right now. And me and her, Jessica, we talk nonstop all the time. I'm like, we got to keep the pressure on. We got to keep going. We got to keep organizing. We got to keep whatever we was doing last year. We got to do more of it. If we got to make new allies. The allies we do have, we got to build stronger relationships with them. Because it's not the time to go to sleep right now. Because they're coming. They just regrouping right now. So, oh man, that's amazing. Like just watching y'all in the battlefield, just made me like get more motivated
Yes,
and
it was very motivating.
yeah, it was motivating, man.
And
Just
that's how
watching.
we keep going. As much as you said they're organizing and they're getting stronger and they're going to come back stronger, so are we.
Fact.
We're not stopping.
Yeah.
We're growing, and we have the numbers greater than theirs. So just imagine if we keep going, like you said, if we keep building, we cannot be stopped. I don't care how strong they get, how much money they have. They cannot overtake all of us.
Exactly.
And they're expecting us to get tired. They're expecting us, of course, they're expecting to get into our movements and destroy them internally. We've known that not only in the Black Panther Party movement, but in the Chicano movement and all of our fucking movements. Sorry, but
No, you good.
Good.
but we have to take care of each other when we're doing this work.
Yeah.
So it could be sustainable, so that it could be long term. We have to take care of each other, not only emotionally but financially. Let ourselves live holistically, and even within our movements, break down the power systems that are marginalizing our own folks within the systems, like men taking up too much space. Us not accepting our people of how we express ourselves. Like there's so much that we have to do internally to continue this movement and make it an inclusive movement where we're bringing everybody in and everyone feels safe being a part of a radical revolutionary movement. Honoring the people who are doing badass work out here, like Kendra from Fucking Town Fridge.
My dog.
So many people out here doing dope work, supporting that and supporting each other and the lanes that we're working in, and also putting egos aside and not being territorial and understanding that, like, if it's not to serve the people, then we're doing a disservice to the work that we're portraying. Because at the end of the day, like, our people still are out here, and people are still out here getting shot. Kids are still being pushed out of schools every single day that we're not focusing on the movement. So taking care of each other, seeing the bigger picture, and breaking down barriers between our communities and even within our work, so that it could be sustainable and long term.